Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Come Home with Corbin Stacy. I am your host, Corbin Stacy, and it's a magical day here. We're live on location here in the Pompano City Center on the third floor in our hOMe location. And it's 11 years later with the man, the myth, and the legend, my teacher, Jimmy Barkan himself. Thank you so much for joining us here. I can't thank you enough for carving out this time to join us. It's only the second podcast that we've done here. 11 years later, Jimmy, can you believe it? The time flies, doesn't it? It's crazy.
No, it's my pleasure to be here, Corbin, and it's really an honor.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I don't have much experience in podcasts. I know you have experience in front of the mic. We can talk about that, right?
Sure.
Let's start there. Really, truly tell us, how did the yoga journey begin with you? I believe you were out in California doing your thing, right?
I was. I just moved from New York City, and I was trying to be a singer and an actor.
Okay.
And when I moved to Los Angeles, I was also trying to pursue a singing career there as well. So I met Bikram. He was my teacher, Bikram Chowdhury, the famous Bikram Yoga.
Bikram.
In 1980. And
I was 2.
You were 2 years old.
I was 2.
And I did my first yoga class. And I'd actually taken yoga when I was in college. I went to NYU.
Okay.
Tisch.
Nice.
School of the Arts.
Sweet.
And it was part of the curriculum. We had to do yoga in the curriculum. And I hated it because we had to sit in lotus position for half the time, which I couldn't even do. So when I went to Bikram's school, it was completely different. The postures were very accessible for Western anatomy. That's why he created it in the first place. And so within a very, very short period of time, I was working at the airport as a bartender, because when you're an actor and a singer
at LAX,
you're either a waiter or a bartender. I was at LAX. Did you know that?
Yeah. No.
So I was a bartender at LAX.
I love it.
American Airlines Terminal 4. And so
big plug.
So I said to Bikram, okay, I work 5 days a week. I'll come on my 2 days off. And he said, no, you have to come at least 3 times a week.
Wow.
So I said, well, one day I'll suck it up and I'll come when I'm working. And then very soon I started to get addicted and I started coming every day. And then within 3 or 4 months, I got so addicted that I joined his teacher training apprenticeship program. We were doing 3-4 classes a day.
Wow.
For 2 years, that was my teacher training program.
Wow.
For 2 years, 3-4 classes a day. On a rare occasion, we would do 5. So the 2 days, we did 2 on Saturday, and that was like our day off. And Sunday,
that was your day off too.
And Sunday, we didn't do anything. We weren't even open on Sunday. He didn't open the school on Sunday. And so then I did my teacher training program, and then I moved to Florida in 1983. Actually, 1982. But I opened my first studio in 1983 in Fort Lauderdale, January.
And was that the west location that was out in Davie?
No. That was in Fort Lauderdale East. It was by Bayview and Federal Highway.
Oh, so this is going back even before I knew where you were.
1983.
Wow. Okay, so where was that location?
It was on Oakland Park Boulevard between Federal Highway and Bayview.
Interesting.
So it's a little bit east.
And then you ended up going out west, or no?
No. Then I was there for 10 years, and then I moved to where Cafe Vico is, where you saw me.
So what's the thing behind Yoga Connection? That wasn't your studio before?
No, it was.
What?
We didn't open Yoga Connection. That's in Davie. That's in Plantation.
Oh, okay.
We actually started.
I thought that was your studio
originally.
Was. Oh, it was.
It started in Plantation, and then it went to Davie.
Okay.
We opened that in 2001.
Okay, so there was a couple things that
or
happened.
2002, I think.
It starts to get a little, yeah. That's when I found you, was 2002, because that's when I moved here. I moved here from New York for my job, and I Googled yoga and my zip code, and you were the man.
Yeah.
It popped right up, and so I hustled in.
Well, when I opened my studio in 1983, it was completely different. Because nobody was doing yoga back then.
And it was straight up Bikram then, right? You were teaching
I was
26 and 2. It was 105 degrees.
No, it wasn't that hot.
No.
We were doing it about 98 degrees to 100. We only had space heaters in the room, so it wasn't never past 100 degrees.
True.
But nobody knew how to do anything. So I taught 6 classes a day for the first 6 months. And in every single class, I had to demonstrate every single pose. It was the hardest thing I ever did.
The standing bow whisperer, is that where it came from?
I think so. Then I cut out the 7 a.m. class and I did 5 classes a day for almost 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I was the only teacher.
Complaining like two classes a day, y'all. I can't complain, right? I can't complain.
As a studio owner, you have to
jump in.
You have to do it to save payroll.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was a tough thing to do. And then somewhere around 1995 or so to 2000, that's when that's when it really started to shift, and people all across the country started to do yoga, and all of a sudden the attendance went up. But for the first 15 years, it was we had maybe 30, 40 people a day if we're lucky.
And then the World Wide Web, really, right? Like, so the web came out and started.
Well, even before the web, though, more television. I remember Rodney Yee had gone on to, who was a famous yoga teacher from a different type of yoga. He went on to Oprah Winfrey show with Christy Turlington, the famous model, and they did yoga on her show, and that catapulted.
Interesting.
That got the word out. And then Madonna said she's going to get all of her weights out of her room and only do yoga. So that helped to promote yoga.
See, I didn't even have to do it this time. You know that Madonna said it was cool. I say this all the time. Madonna said yoga was cool. She was on the cover of the GQ magazine, and she was looking sick. And that's what brought me to Barkan Method. Thank you, Madonna.
I almost taught her, too, because she was living in Miami at one point, and one of the players of the Miami Heat, his name is Ronnie Cycli, and I worked with all the professional athletes at one time in South Florida. So I was going to his house to teach him yoga, and we were going to take jet skis to her house and teach her a class on the yard. And I remember that day I was all excited, and I'm driving down, and all of a sudden it started to rain so bad that he had to cancel the whole thing. Man. I was so bummed that I didn't get to meet Madonna. But actually, the house he lived in was the house that Shaquille O'Neal actually bought when he came to live.
Interesting.
When he came to play for the Miami Heat. So I was in Miami. I was in Shaq's house before he even bought it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Man.
So
That's
yeah,
really
I got to teach with a lot of the Miami
Athletes
Dolphins and Dan Marino, and I used to go to the stadium when the Florida Marlins played in 1997. They won the World Series. I was working with them then. So we had a lot of fun times. And the athletes were very humble because they really couldn't do much at all. They were so stiff, but they know they needed that range of motion and that flexibility, and it helped them so much.
Absolutely.
Actually, the Dolphins built a whole hot room in their Nova training
just to incorporate
area for me to come in and teach them.
No, that's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
So I found you in 2002. That's when I moved down here. We opened up a base for JetBlue, and we moved down here, and you had just started to really convert, I think, at that time. Was that when it aligns up for you too? Like 2002, I think Sacred Music was starting to come into your studio with Lisa Goodwin, and that was kind of when you had started dabbling with some music, I believe, right?
Well, what happened was...
How did that go down? Like, what was the transition about?
In 2002, Bikram and I split.
Okay, just straight up.
We split. It was pretty, and I haven't really told people on my YouTube channel why we split yet because I'm not quite ready for that.
Yeah,
I'm not pulling any. It's a very personal story.
Yeah, of course.
But we split in 2002, and then I started teaching my own style of yoga. Back then, we just called it Jimmy Yoga.
Oh,
our yoga.
We could be doing Jimmy Yoga now, people.
Jimmy Yoga.
Jimmy Yoga.
But in 2005, we did a DVD, which I was proud to have that #1 on Amazon for years and years. And then my producer of the DVD, he branded it the Barkan Method. So that's the birth of the Barkan Method. It was 2005.
It's so similar last name, obviously. I mean, you can't make that up.
No.
I mean, you really can't make that up.
Yeah, it was very, very, I shouldn't say coincidental because it was just in the stars. I mean, Bikram and I were very, very close. To this day, even though we broke up in 2002,
I remember
not
you
in
telling
great
me
terms,
you saw him again.
We have definitely mended
Yeah.
our relationship.
That's great.
Over time.
Sweet.
Yeah. So then I started my teacher training.
I was going to say, so then Barkan Method was born.
Yes.
And so I've heard you say in-house that half of your career was, Bikram and half of it was Barkan. You're pretty much
right now in the middle.
Right now, like you're right there at the middle.
Yeah.
So
40 years.
Talk to me about that. So the Barkan Method, I know because I'm a 500-hour ERYT of yours. I know what it's about, but to our listeners and people that may not know what it's about, from the man himself, what is the Barkan Method of hot yoga?
The Barkan Method is still very much rooted in Bikram yoga, and I consider myself part of that lineage.
Of course.
Because it still comes from Vishnu Ghosh, who was Bikram's his guru and his teacher, and he developed the style of yoga where he combined modern athletics with gymnastics, even weight training with yoga. So now that was his thing. He had a whole gymnasium in Calcutta, India, in Bengal. So Bikram comes to the United States and he left out the weight training and just focused on
the asana.
And he made a very simple beginner class that everyone could do that was accessible to Western anatomy. And that's where Bikram came from. But Bikram never changed his sequence. He kept it the same. And I know in my own experience that now yoga has been around for 45 years in the United States, we have evolved as yogis, as a community. And I wanted to go to that trend. I wanted to create that evolution. So that's where the Barkan method comes in. When I'm not just sticking to the 26 postures, 2 breathing exercises, we bring in postures from other styles of yoga where we have a different range of motion. So we do a revolving triangle where the spine goes in a different direction, which is what I think is so important. And we also add a couple things that I believe is missing in the Bikram practice: upper body strength,
Music? No, just
music, upper body strength, and hip openers. That's the big one.
hip openers.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Well, I can say I've taken a lot of yoga myself out. I've had the privilege of traveling, and I always come back home to this practice. And it's not because I'm biased and I'm certified by you. It's because I've been hurt and other things that I've done. And this practice is so stable. And I thank you for that, because truly I incorporated in our teacher training program. You know that. You've seen the black and white. You know, we've always honored you. And I'm so grateful to be in your presence at all times.
Well, thank you.
I did get certified in 2011. That was an amazing training. I mean, we could go through a couple of the people that are now studio owners, and they're amazing people doing amazing things. And that's got to feel so cool. I mean, I have a couple people that call me Yoga Daddy at 43. It makes me a little uncomfortable. But you have a lot of yoga children out there. I mean, I call you my Yoga Daddy. I think that's where they got it from. Hearing me call you Yoga Daddy, right? So how does that feel to have such reach in like so many different continents and different languages? I mean, you've taught these trainings sometimes in different languages and stuff, right?
We did training in Japan and Hungary and Budapest. The entire training had to be
universal language,
had to be translated. Every single sentence that I said had to be translated.
Wow.
It took forever. It was very tedious, but it was very intense. It was very intense.
I bet. But yoga is a universal language. I mean, you teach us Sanskrit. I mean, I'm really big on the Sanskrit here in house, and I love that it's, you know, universal everywhere, and you can't change the language of love. So thank you for sharing that love.
Sure.
And then so you started there, and then Yoga Connection is its own thing, and then Barkan Method, where I met you, was in the corner of Sunrise and Federal. Right. And then you were there for how many years?
We were there for 21 years.
21 years. And then you moved over to the Fort Lauderdale location in the Whole Foods shopping center. Which
Correct.
Is now Lululemon is there, and Dick's Sporting Goods. That location. And how long were you
That
there?
was about 7 years.
7 years. Okay.
So I had the studio for 39 years.
It's incredible.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the teacher training program before we get to the next, where I'm going next.
Yeah, because I'm there. I'm in teacher training 2011. Okay. I know we have so much to talk about.
People were coming to me from the year 2003 till
huge teacher training
to about 2015, maybe 16. People were coming to me from all over the world, and now we have hubs in Japan and like I said, Hungary, Switzerland, Iceland's a big hub, a big one in Australia.
That's great.
And then the paradigm started to shift, because there's so many studios out there, and yoga got so big that so many people were doing their own teacher training programs that people weren't willing to now travel
when they could get it done either online or in 2 weeks, right?
Within the United States, let alone coming from another country.
Right. Exactly.
So then I had to go out and travel all around the world. And it's fun and it's glamorous the first couple of years, but then it gets tiring.
I bet.
That 15, 16-hour flight to Australia the second time is fun. The sixth time, it's
red
rough.
Eye. You know why they call them red eyes.
I remember one time we were flying there, and it's 2 days ahead because of the time change. So we didn't calculate it correctly, and then we realized that I was going to be there a day after the training started. But my senior staff person was there before me. Her name was Cindy Lunsford.
Oh,
Remember Cindy?
Of course.
So she was there the day before. Yeah. So the reason why I mentioned this is because I got off this 16-hour flight. I had also flown all the way from Florida to Los Angeles with a 10-hour layover and then a 15-hour flight. And I had to get off the plane, and 2 hours later I had to be in the teacher training clinic.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. And I was only there for 5 nights. And I remember I got
not even enough time to get your body really acclimated.
Deathly ill on that trip.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, coming from airline, that's a lot.
It's not much.
Sounds glamorous.
Yeah, and then I started traveling all over doing the teacher training programs.
Did. Yeah, now you were always doing that. Even when I came on board with you, you were not,
but I was not
as much really.
Just starting.
You had your Japan girls, and you had your people.
We were just starting.
A big presence in New York too. Those girls love you up there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All over the country, which is nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
But now the pandemic hits, and there's no more travel.
Yes, true that.
So now the paradigm changes again.
So we were when I first got certified, you had then opened the Boca Raton location. And I went out there. That's kind of like where I teetered off to. And you had kind of just opened or the newest location in Fort Lauderdale. So that was a really great experience opening up that location with you.
It was a great location, and you were one of our top teachers there.
Thank you. That was an amazing time.
They loved you and both.
I was in my prime then, I think. I mean, I was a Lululemon, ambassador there at the Boca Raton Town Center, full time in my role, in aviation. And it was a good time. I taught you on Sundays and Mondays, and it was amazing. And that studio stayed open for many years as well.
Yeah.
So you've had your hands in a couple different things. And,
sure.
This studio here turns 5 in October. And when you talk about 39 years, I'm trying to multiply this times. No, I don't know. It's a labor of love.
It is.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. And again, I can't commend you enough because, again, just turning 5, I'm like, woo. I've had a couple locations too, though. I opened in Vegas with Evolution Yoga, opened in Coconut Creek.
I know that you opened in Vegas.
That was the first 10 months of my ownership was with them.
Wow.
And we had 2 locations. And then I just branched off and opened up here. But Evolution Yoga almost went here. That's why I'm in this city center.
I would have gone to Vegas. I would have gone to Vegas.
I know, right? That was an awesome experience. Actually, it was really cool. But different states, different locations, different even counties. Even I returned back to that location. We know that during the pandemic. So we're going to fast forward to the pandemic, and that was a big thing for everybody, right? And did you immediately shift online, or did you already have your online presence as far as your yoga classes and stuff?
We had no online presence.
So you immediately switched gears and went online
with the help of my assistant, my right arm, Janice Jacobs, who's in most of my YouTube videos. We transitioned to the day we closed somewhere in June. No, it's March of 2020. Everyone across the country had to close. The next day, we were actually doing Zoom classes.
Wow.
Yeah. And
we were late we didn't get that memo. We just started doing the next live feed day.
So we were doing classes on Zoom.
Wow.
Live for the first part of the pandemic. And that's when that whole concept of doing live and on demand stuff was when we first started to say, let's now take it to the next level. So that's when I started doing on-demand and online courses and created the on-demand membership.
It's amazing.
So now, which is
highly recommended,
which is better than Zoom because Zoom, sometimes our internet wasn't great at the old location.
So many technical difficulties.
Right in the beginning, there was. There was sound problems.
Sure.
We figured all the sound out. We have the great HD recording and great sound. So now we've got these HD classes, over almost 400 classes now.
That's awesome.
On the membership. But not just classes, tutorials and
meditation,
bonus videos, and the Sanskrit and breaking down what everything means in Sanskrit, which is a phenomenal tool for my teacher training people who are taking my program because now they have this access to these videos
right there at the fingertips
that you didn't have.
No.
In your training. You were cramming that information in that short period of time where they have access now forever to see those videos.
It's incredible. And to just watch that growth and stuff with you and be a part of it, so cool.
Our URL for the membership is really cool. It's hotyogaondemand.com.
Oh my gosh, you can't really get better than that, right?
We were very lucky to get that URL, hotyogaondemand.com.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I said to myself, okay, let's now put the teacher training program on a course. So that's when I had the idea to do that. So now our teacher training program, you can become a 200-hour training, which is so people to understand
please walk them through it.
The terminology. To be a yoga teacher, the one main entity is called Yoga Alliance, even though there's a new entity coming out called Yoga Unified, which I told you about.
Conversations about that.
So you have to have what they call a 200-hour curriculum that has all the boxes have to be clicked.
The basics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the
alignment, history, anatomy, philosophy, and so on. So you get that as a 200-hour teacher, and then you can go out there and teach. Now, the next level up is a 300-hour certificate. So I have that also available on my course. You can do it all online.
That's awesome. So you still have access to these people worldwide.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So it's not just that you're on your own online. We meet every Thursday at 4:00. We have a live session. So everybody comes on the Zoom and
they're there.
Gallery view, and they're all there from all over the world.
It's definitely it's the way of the future, right? I mean, you see it. I mean, you've seen it. And you've seen, how it's taken its own course. I mean, I had maybe 60 people in our teacher training with you.
Yeah.
That was amazing. They were from all over the place, and I guess we still can't do that, but electronically. Hi, everybody. I don't know,
Yeah, and
we have to evolve.
It's the next best thing. It's the next best thing. Next best. So now if you get the 300 hour, which is now extracurricular,
which go
curriculum.
right after your 200, right? Because when
you
wait, why?
You should.
You should go. Just keep that
fresh.
momentum going. I mean, if you have the ability to do so, it's fresh.
I believe
just keep it going. I know I did. I just kept wanting more and more and more of you. I went to Costa Rica. I did the level 2-3 in October, and I went back to Costa Rica again. Like I banged it out.
Costa Rica was
rather
great.
Quickly, and it can take you about a couple of years to become a 500 with you. But
we just did our 22nd year in Costa Rica.
That's incredible. Kelly's there right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah, she's there. Fear of missing out.
So now you get your 300 hour. You have your 200 hour, and now you become a 500 hour. You've now reached 500 hour status as a yoga teacher.
And we can still keep going for that E though.
And then once you teach 1,000 hours of classes. You log them in, you become an ERYT, which is an experienced registered yoga teacher.
How can it get any better than the E?
Yeah.
What are you?
I think I'm a 100,000 RYT. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We'll just put a little infinity sign in front of the RYT for you.
Yes. Well, actually, in Yoga Unify, they call me an adept. That's just like the highest stat you can have.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we have the courses now. We have the membership. I just launched a meditation course too. You can do an 8-week meditation course with me. So yeah, we had to go digital. And now I can reach so many more people.
Yeah, for sure.
And we also did the YouTube channel, which is great. I know now you're starting the YouTube channel as well.
Second one that will
drop.
So.
This is great.
Thanks.
And so the YouTube
Check
channel,
out Jimmy's YouTube channel,
which is simply Barkan Method Hot Yoga, BARKAN Method Hot Yoga, and that's our YouTube, and we'll definitely share this video on our channel as well.
It's exciting. I never dabbled in this arena, so that's cool.
So now, because of the pandemic and because of all the stuff that was happening, and the shopping center that I happened to be at was a high-end center because they started bringing in Sephora and Whole Foods and Lululemon. They like tripled the rent on me, and I had to leave. So I said to myself, after 39 years, I wanted to make it to 40. I really did.
Of course.
I said, you know what? I don't want to be a studio owner anymore. I think that chapter, or I shouldn't say chapter, that novel in my life is over.
Right. Many chapters.
So that's when we had a phone conversation.
I mean, I reached out to you as soon as I saw the news,
And now we've made Yoga Home my new Yoga Home.
We could not be more proud. Yeah, we're super grateful. We cannot thank you enough for choosing us to continue whatever we choose.
And so I
to
teach
do.
here a few times a week, and we
wholeheartedly
hold our
you.
live training. I'm still doing live trainings, not as much as I used to, but I'm still doing them, and we do them right here. In fact, in this very room,
beautiful room.
Yes.
So okay, so moving forward, like the current state of the industry, of just health and fitness, do you really think that everything's going to go online, or do you think there's nothing like being in a hot yoga room that gives you that yoke, that community, that side by side breathing? Do you think it's all going to go online?
No, I don't think so. I think people still love
as a brick and mortar owner.
Exactly.
Please don't let that happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think the live people still love live trainings. They love live classes, but now they have the option for going online when it's inconvenient to go into a live training or do a live class. True. So they have both. They have access. It
can be
both.
more abundant. It can be more.
Or if they aren't able to travel and they want to have
a specific style.
If they want to come to my training,
teacher.
If somebody's been doing it for 40 years, that instead of going to a local studio that's only open for 2 years, they can still do training with me and then have that option as well. So they have options.
Yeah.
But I don't think live classes or trainings are gonna dissolve at all.
Cool. I'm happy to hear you say that. Obviously, up here on the third floor, it's definitely a thing. I didn't pay much attention to the business of yoga and teacher training when I was 33 taking your training. I'm sorry I did it.
Yeah.
I probably should have. But it's definitely, it's interesting out there. So kudos to all that great work. If you want to leave them with a plug, all of your handles all at once so that they don't have to go fishing for them, let's drop all of your handles. How can people find you, follow you, subscribe for you? What can they do?
So, like I said in the URL for the membership, hotyogaondemand.com.
Okay.
And then you actually get a 7-day free trial for that.
Ding.
And then you can see if you like it and if it's a good fit for you.
Perfect.
You can look up the Barkan Method Hot Yoga. And then we have different websites. We have a website for the live trainings, which is barkanmethod.com.
Perfect.
And we have also a website for the on-course training, which I don't remember the URL for that.
But you can get to it off of your barkanmethod.com, right?
Yeah. And plus, when you go to my YouTube channel, it's in my description.
Then the link tree is there.
So there's a description below, and all of the links are in there.
Cool.
Any of my YouTubes.
Thank you.
And then we have the Barkan Method course, but at the same time, the meditation course, I mean. And
Right.
Same thing, I don't remember.
Which is so cool to see that other side of you, by the way. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I actually, a neighbor of mine was the one that turned me on to this platform called Kajabi. Here's a plug for Kajabi.
Okay, what's that?
And they're the ones that host the membership.
Oh.
They host they're the site that hosts the membership, that hosts the courses. They
Okay.
host courses, online
There you
courses, and memberships. So they're the ones that really
Driving it.
I'm using Kajabi platform for all of my online stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's a nice little
which is
plug.
really
I'll
cool.
have to look into that.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
They're really great.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to collaborating with you moving forward. Thank you for choosing us. We choose you always.
Thank you,
you, Jimmy.
Corbin.
I love you,
It's been a pleasure to be here on this podcast
Thank
with you, and it's an honor to be here teaching
Aw,
at Yoga Home.
likewise. And you can find us at hotyogahome.com, all handles at hotyogahome. Thank you so much for tuning in to Come Home with Corbin Stacy. We'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.